Our tech department is over there. We're live. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to McLean and Aiken event, virtual event. The first one we've hosted together with the owners.
We've both done it separately, but not together.
Not together.
Since the beginning when we were doing the fireside chats.
That's right. That's right. Well, since the very beginning of shutdown, we did these a long time ago. It was the beginning of the shutdown. But we're very excited to be here tonight with Janet Evanovich and Steve Hamilton, who have collaborated and are releasing their book today, The Bounty. It's online,
Number
available.
8 in the Fox and O'Hare series.
Mm-hmm. And it's available through
Number 7.
I said
number 7. That's
Number 7.
Yeah, it's the best cover I've ever had. Yeah, isn't that great?
It's a good
It
cover.
is great.
It is still. But it's available on our website now. We are going to be shipping them with signed book plates, so we're very excited for that. Thank you both for helping us with that.
And those will only be available for the first few, the first people who order get dibs. And when we run out, that'll be it. So you don't want to wait. You want to order them as soon as possible.
Right.
So, we're even getting some questions already. But
I'll take care of those.
Let's just, do you want to start off?
Sure, I'll start. Well, thank you both so much for joining us. This is a thrill to be able to do this. We have been, as Matt was talking about in the green room earlier, we've been hesitant to do virtual events. But when we saw both of your names, we had to jump at the opportunity. So we're really excited to be here tonight. And I wanted to ask a little bit about the backstory of Fox and O'Hare and their falling in and out of not necessarily love, maybe lust, I don't know, after I saw the last few pages. And so I thought maybe you could give us just the broad strokes of where they've come from to establish their relationship where it is now.
In the beginning, O'Hare was this FBI agent that was obsessed with finding this con man. And she had been chasing him for a while. And he's a very clever, charismatic, sexy kind of guy, very good at what he does. And she was not having a lot of success at it. And the first book, which is one of my favorites because I think it's a great introduction. Lee Goldberg did that book, and he did a lot to really provide the color for the entire series. It gave us a blueprint going forward. And so there's a little humor in it. There's a lot of action. I wouldn't say that there's romance, but there's attraction. Mm-hmm. And in the end, this con man guy who eventually gets caught by the FBI agent cons the government into giving him a job. And instead of going to prison, he's paired up with this poor woman FBI agent who now is stuck being his handler. And that really sets up the entire rest of the series. And that's where they go from there.
And she's a former Navy SEAL, yes?
Yeah. She's a pretty tough guy. She really believes in law and order. Her dad was a military man, and she goes by the book. And of course, he does not.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a book.
Fox is a bit of a rogue. He's what we call in the romance genre, bad boy hero.
He's not too bad, but yeah.
Now, the part that Janet's not telling you is that, I've known Janet for a few years. She actually modeled Nick Fox on me. She doesn't tell. I'm sorry to sort of spill that secret, but
he has a little bit of Ranger in him too.
Yeah. True. Ranger's a little bit on me too, really. If you want to go.
So you know how to take a punch, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, sure. In all seriousness, I just want to sort of welcome Janet to. This is kind of funny because I'm in New York, you're in Michigan, and Janet's in Hawaii. But I feel like this is my home field because this is the bookstore that is one of the best bookstores in the world, period. And I have been to this store with every single book without fail. And Janet, if you ever find yourself in Petoskey, Michigan.
Always. I get there a lot. Yeah. That's
okay. All right.
It's often a layover from Honolulu.
Straight to Pellston Airport. Yep.
It is the best bookstore I've ever been in, honestly. And you really have to stop in. It's a really special place. And these are two special people. And I'm glad to sort of be here with you here at this place that I know is just so great. I mean, it's sort of a perfect match here.
Well, it's authors like you that have kept us here. I mean, our readers know that they're going to be able to get your books here and that they're going to be signed. And every single year we get asked about the latest, what's his name?
Alex McKnight.
Alex. I was going to say Nick because of the background. But latest Alex McKnight. And so, I mean, you've helped us create that culture. We wouldn't have that without our symbiotic relationship.
Yeah. You know, Steve, I had a young guy in just a week ago who was starting out through the series, and it's I think it's just amazing how you are finding new readers all the time, and it's just great. He just discovered you. He was about 21, and he just was so excited to find this Northern Michigan mystery series. So you've got more audience out there, and it's fun to have them discover you.
And pre-orders for Janet's books and for Steve's books are always a given. We're always ready.
Yeah.
So
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Good.
And putting you together is the perfect no-brainer.
So how did that start? Can you tell us a little bit about where this plan was hatched and how it began, and really where did it all start?
Well, we talked about it just for a minute in the green room, but really it was Janet's son Peter who had really come up with this absolutely bonkers idea for a story. It's the kind of thing in my wildest dreams I never would have thought of, but that's what made it so fun. Really, it's like I could just take it and run with it, and just have fun with this crazy, sort of quest all across Europe. Getting into these wild adventures. And then, I sort of just did the first draft, and then really Janet and I sort of made it into a Fox and O'Hare book. And because Janet is so good at that relationship and those sort of zingy one-liners and that sort of that chemistry between these two characters, there's really nobody in this genre who does that kind of thing better than Janet Evanovich does.
Yeah, there's always that kind of push and pull, that sort of.
Which looks easy, maybe, and it looks like, because it's sort of light and funny and fast, and you think it's easy, but try to do it. There's nobody who can do this anywhere close to as well as Janet has done it for so many years. I mean, she's just, I'm really sort of in awe of all the things that she's accomplished in this business.
So I can actually do something right. That's good to know. That's part right there. Yeah, my son is very clever. He's good at conspiracy theory. He comes, and he comes up with these outrageous ideas. And he developed just this very bare bones outline to follow. And, and Steve was able to just take it and run with it. So it was good.
So your son came up with I'm sorry if I'm going to mispronounce it, the Rube Gold, Rob Gold.
The Rob Gold, yes, right.
Rob Gold. Was that his creation?
What's that?
Was that his creation, or did it have some?
There was some basis in truth.
Yeah, right.
To it all.
All these things, all this stuff really is sort of out there in this sort of vague form, that there really is all this gold that's hidden in a terrain underneath a mountain somewhere, and people do actually go look for this stuff.
Yeah, this was the first time I'd heard that. I'd heard a lot about art, and I've read a few different historical novels about art, but I'd never heard this story about the gold. So yeah, it was really fun. It's very fun.
I'm sorry that you couldn't run up an expense account researching all the locales. It's just it felt like a mini little vacation.
Well, I wondered if you guys. I don't know if this would be Janet, since you've been involved in all of the books. They're your baby. Because of COVID and people wanting to travel, I'm wondering if there's going to be a 2022 Fox and O'Hare Europe tour, and all the authors can do one day of, this is the monastery where this happened. Well, you're not going to hike to it. There's no way. But, this is where this happened. This is where this happened. And people can buy their week-long Fox and O'Hare excursion.
Right. Well, or we could have a real event, like take people on tours. And
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's we need to find the train, though, Steve.
Yeah,
we
right.
need a train mountain.
I'm not sure you want to be actually sort of ziplining off the Eiffel Tower. I'm not sure that they would like that too much.
No.
Yeah, that was Steve. I was like, say what? Are you kidding me? It was, but it reads good. Reads really good.
Yeah. That one. I'm not sure if that one or the scuba diving were my fit. Without giving anything away, I don't want to. I don't know which one of those two.
I like the monasteries. I mean,
that one was your favorite.
Yeah. Is there a real monastery in St. Polten, or is that even pronounced right? Is that kind of
that monastery?
Yes.
There is that Fergan is a real mountain in the Alps. It did have a cable car going up to the top, and that car was destroyed in a bad storm. So it is sort of an abandoned mountaintop, and there is a building up there.
So did Peter know those parts, or did you fill those parts in?
Well, it's funny because this is like he sort of left like this trail for me to follow. And it sort of went up there, and it went up there to an abandoned monastery in the Alps. And I'm like, oh, God, okay, thanks. Let's see. How am I going to do this? I found that there really are some places like that where they're inaccessible.
Yeah.
Okay. And Janet, do you have scuba experience? I mean, because I really enjoyed that part of it. And I wondered if since that was Kate's favorite part, or what she felt most comfortable with in the Navy SEALs, I wondered if you had any experience with that yourself.
Yeah, no, that was all Steve.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, he's the Superman who does all of that stuff and researches it on the spot. And right, Steve?
And I mean, if you're going to, basing Nick Fox on me, yeah, I mean, sort of. But, I am a certified diver. Yeah, so I've done this. I've done some of these dives.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Somebody asked earlier in the thread if the audiobook was available. And yes, the audiobook is available on Libro FM. You can select your favorite bookstore and we get a little credit back for it. If you have a favorite independent bookstore, though, you can pick them from the list as well. And once you set up a membership, every book you buy, that bookstore gets a little bit of a kickback. So, and I haven't heard it, so I don't know. Do you know if it's read in two voices or if it's only read in does you know if it has two narrators or?
It's just one narrator.
Okay.
And he's really good.
We'll have to pay a second person.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Okay. Well, do we have any questions? We're going to quickly go through here and see what we have. A lot of comments right now.
Everybody says hello.
Yeah. We will take a quick moment and let folks know if you do want to put a comment, a question into the comments. A lot of hellos and well wishing. But if you have a question for Steve and Janet, please let us know.
Oh, there's a good question. Will the pandemic ever be a plot thread in the Fox O'Hare or Plum books?
No, I don't want to ever hear anything about the pandemic again. I'm done. I'm done with it. It's no.
I agree.
We write about things that are fun, Okay. Yeah. Sometimes we kill people, but aside from that,
they had it coming. They all had it coming.
Yeah.
Except for one that I was very surprised about, but people will have to read it to find out about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it'll sell well with the COVID storyline.
No. And a bunch of people looks like met you both both here in Michigan. Some people in Traverse City at the Opera House, Janet, and then Steve here in the store. So Traverse City, Janet, is about 2 hours or an hour and a half southwest of here. So
okay, yeah, that was an amazing event. I had so much fun at that. It was what is it? The Cherry Festival? It was some kind of a festival going on, and we did this event in the Opera House, and it was great. That's
the
National Writer
That's
Series?
the Cherry Festival.
Yeah, I did that with Brian Grewley about 2 years ago too.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right, Brian.
It's a blast. It's just a blast. But
They do a great program. They just got a new executive director, and they're doing great stuff.
did they really?
Yep.
She's somebody who used to work for Source Books, actually.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, my favorite thing about that festival was that we stayed in this hotel, had a little gift shop, and I was with my publicist, and there was a stuffed cat in the gift shop. It was this big fluffy cat that had been stuffed, and so when I wasn't with my publicist, I bought the cat, and then because she'd been really taken with it, and then I put it in a box and I sent it to a friend of mine at the publishing house, and I said, "Put this on Susan's chair. Don't say anything." When she came in the morning, you could hear her screaming all the way across the river in New Jersey, I think it was.
Oh,
great.
The publicist job is such a hard one. That is so kind.
That is very kind
to do. They take a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah. Somebody wants to know, Janet, because he's a North Jersey guy. Did you spend some time there?
In North Jersey? Well, yeah, sure. Because I'm a Jersey girl, and but I was Central Jersey and more South Jersey. Used to do a lot of book signings in North Jersey, and sort of cruised through there on my way to New York. They were classy. They were the classy people up in North Jersey. I was down in the Pineys and Central Jersey.
Somebody else wants to know if Fox has been optioned for a TV or movie. Anything pending out there? Entertainment.
Not that I know. I would love to see something. Any Hollywood people listening in, give me a call. I think it would be great. I think it would be a lot of fun. I would love it, but nothing
It's a perfect setup for a series. I mean, it's just everything's right there. Have you ever done anything TV wise that's been optioned? Any of your books yet?
None that have been a success. None that have. I mean, it is a bizarre process. It's gone through it a couple times and nothing ever made it to the screen. Okay. And and it's just amazing that anything ever gets put on the screen. But
we've heard a ton of horror stories.
Yeah. Well, my stories aren't such horror stories because I have to admit I did have fun with it. I didn't have anything to do with the one movie that was made for Plum that they invited me to the party when the movie was all done, but that was it. But we tried to sell a couple things to television, and I was able to take part in that. And, I love being out in LA anyway. I mean, it's fun. I'm not sure I could live there, but I really like to visit. So great restaurants, go out drinking with people at night. And, that was good.
What about you, Steve?
Yeah, we definitely have some people wondering if there's an Alice McKnight.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of stuff going on, but I have this sort of thing like I made this like big announcement. In fact, I did this in your store. If you remember, last time I was there, I made this big point that they were going to option the McKnight series. So people were talking about it and said, "You're not going to touch this unless you promise me that you film it right here in the state of Michigan." In the UP and in northern Michigan and nowhere else. So I don't care if that sort of decreases the odds that it'll happen. I mean, that's just the only way that I would let it happen.
I think there's a lot of Michiganders that love that.
Yeah. That would be
I don't have those scruples. I'm like, make it fun and give me some money and I'm there.
Well, yours are shot all over yours are located all over the world. So, you know,
Yeah.
The Upper Peninsula is kind of pretty important.
I'm guessing they could get some bargains on locales and production.
The Upper Peninsula is unique.
It's beautiful.
Unlike any other.
Yeah.
The pine trees there, they don't grow pine trees like that.
And the lakes and Lake Superior, it's just like this dominant force up there. There's nowhere else like it. You're right.
Yeah, well, you know, COVID is driving up the property values up there too. So
Oh, right.
That's one good thing for our state.
And a getaway for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
Yeah.
Your eyes are better than mine. Am I reading?
I was. I didn't want to say it in front of everyone. He's got readers. Are you ever going to tie the Plum universe into it like you've done with other cities?
Series.
Cities. It says cities.
Okay, you probably meant series.
The Plum universe.
Oh, maybe tie in O'Hare and Fox into the Plum universe.
No, probably not. I had I've done that in a very small way. I brought in Diesel. I have this sort of mini series about these special characters, and the guy, his name is Diesel, and he happens to be my favorite guy that I've created. And he's just this big, scruffy, special person. And I could never get around to writing another Lizzie and Diesel book. So I borrowed him and put him in the Stephanie Plum book for just a couple times, just so I could get my, my Diesel fix. But for the most part, I don't think it works to really, try to marry series together like that. I don't feel, that comfortable with it. I don't know. What do you think, Steve? Can you bring into Fox and O'Hare?
It has to be a really organic, natural thing. And if you force it, it just looks like you're forcing it.
Yeah.
So if the right thing is there, like Diesel, it sort of tells you that you could really use this guy here right now. That was probably pretty easy for you to do that. But just to try to force it to have a gimmick, I think you're right. That's not something that you should do.
Yeah. He actually started in the Plum series. They wanted me to do some holiday books. And so the first one was a Christmas book. And that was where Diesel first appeared as this magical thing, which was bizarre, really, really weird to write, because I had to take all of the other Plum people out of there, the other men. It was all Diesel with Stephanie. And I did several of those. And then they thought he was popular enough that they could spin him off into his own series. And so that was, so he was a little bit more organic because he had interacted with Stephanie, but it still is a strange thing to do.
Yeah. There are some people in the thread who are saying they agree it should be filmed in Petoskey and the UP.
Thank you.
The Alex McKnight books or series, movie, whatever it ended up being.
They're not going to do it in Miami or something, which is what they do. So.
Yeah, or Eastern Europe.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
There's a worry about that with other books. I think they're actually working on one right now for the Marsh King's Daughter, and we don't know where that's going to end up being shot.
So what's going to be next for both of you?
Well, I am just in the final process of editing a book that stars this Gabriella Rose, who made a small appearance in the last Plum book. And I really had a lot of fun with that because it's quite different from the Plums. Stephanie is like, she operates in a closet. I mean, she's a Jersey girl. She doesn't get out a whole lot. And all her crime is local. And so this other series is really, kind of an Indiana Jones adventure series. So I had a lot of fun with that. And I had an opportunity to create a whole new world and a lot of new characters. And it's always good to take that excursion when you have a series that's as long-standing as the Plums. It's always refreshing to be able to get out of Stephanie's head and into somebody else's head. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. And then I'll go back to doing Stephanie because, I have a new Stephanie coming out, every November. There has to be a Stephanie. So that's my next project. Where are you going?
I think we need a grandma. What's her name? The grandmother.
Mazer.
Yeah, Missouri.
Yeah, I think she needs, we need a series of her. So there'll be historical fiction, how she got to be as tough as nails the way that she is. And she's one of my favorite characters she is probably my favorite from the Plum series. That she's she reminds me of someone I know.
Exactly. Yeah, I actually think I've always thought Stephanie was a little boring. I always like the auxiliary characters. I like Grandma and I like Lula. Lula's one of my favorite characters.
Oh, yeah.
Bigger than life. She's more of everything.
Well, and she's got such a great backstory.
Yes. Well, she's a success. She's a survivor.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, see, so Grandma probably is too, and we're probably going to learn about that later. This is my big push. This is the night Jessilynn talked Janet into
the book she wants.
The book that I want, right?
Well, she was really featured, in the last couple books. She had a larger part, and that was fun.
That's right. Yeah, she's my favorite character too in that whole universe. And I would definitely, if you go back and do a prequel, like a historical, a young Grandma Mazer, that would be amazing.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah. We're gonna work this out. Yeah.
When are we gonna get another Alex McKnight? We get a lot of questions about that.
I'm doing another Nick Mason book right now, and then I'm absolutely going to do another Alex book. And I'm going to go right to your store with it. That's going to be the first place I go.
Well, that's great. And Nick Mason, though, before that, that's great.
Yeah, I think that's how it works.
So will the Nick Mason come out this summer, or you said you're working on it right now?
I think it'll come out later in the year. I think later in the year, maybe early next year, just because the way everything's stacked up, and I have a new publisher now, and it's just everything kind of got backed up, and COVID turned the world upside down, and as you know. But, that was really the nice thing about getting to work on such a fun book like this one, while the world is sort of burning and upside down, just to have it like a really fun thing to work on with Janet. It was such a great ray of sort of sunshine in this whole really dark year.
Absolutely.
Getting to work with her on something that's just plain fun, fast, funny, fun book. So it was really great.
And that's exactly what I kind of said to you the other day. It felt like a European vacation. It just was so fun, and each new locale I just loved, and it was a blast. So if we can't take a vacation this spring, it's a great alternate.
We're also, we are the vacation writers. We're the happy writers. We're not, the gloom and doom people. I would never be invited on Oprah, because we don't make people cry. We're not the cathartic writers. We're the vacation writers. This is, you need a beach book. You need to get away from, all the gloom and doom, and that's what we do, right, Steve?
And especially right now. Did you find then that your writing was any different? I've wondered about writers during this time, if it has made you. We hear so many customers say that it's been harder for them to read for some reason. Their mind, doesn't focus. And I wondered from your perspective if the writing has changed at all, or what.
If I was trying to write something really dark and heavy, which I've done a little bit, I think that would have been tough. I think it would have been hard to write about death. Not fun death. Like there's fun death. You know what I mean? It's like really write about realistic, gritty, hard-boiled, miserable violence. Would have been tough to do right now because there's just so much misery already in the world, and that's why this was such a great
escape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really was.
And it wasn't, it really wasn't any different for me because, I mean, I think of myself as an entertainer. I think I have a calling, you know, because I am the person who provides the happy entertainment. And let's be honest, I mean, when COVID hit, I was here in Hawaii. My son lives here. I have 2 grandchildren here. So we
Wonderful.
spend a certain amount of the time here with Peter and the kids. And so from January to April, I'm here in Hawaii. And that was when, you know, the darkest days of COVID, when nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And they thought it was outrageous when there were 7 cases on the island. So, you know, we were, it was upsetting, but it wasn't, I don't think that it was quite the same as for people who were living in cities and locked down. And, you know, I could always get out in the sunshine and walk the dog. And so it was a little easier. And, you know, I felt, and I had a job, you know, I had a job to do. You know, Steve and I were providing, you know, good, productive entertainment with positive people, you know, and that's the thing. Even when there's a character like the con man, he's still a positive character. He's still a good person, you know. He still has a moral base to him, and I think this is just really critical, you know. And Steve understood that, you know, and we do some of the, you know, very similar things.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah. Julie in the chat was asking if you could jump in and read this one on your own. And Julie, I have not read the other books yet. And I jumped into this one, and I think you can definitely jump in with this. We have all of them on hand right now. So if you want to start with the first one, you can. But yeah, I think you can definitely jump in anywhere and pick it up. Yeah. I'm a purist, so I like to read them in order. But
no, and I, you know, at one point it's mentioned that it's kind of this fun Indiana Jones type thing, and I mean it is.
Yeah,
it's just, you can jump right into it, and it's a self-contained adventure.
Right.
Yeah, and we work hard at that, you know, to make it its own person, to be part of the whole. But still, it's not necessary to read any of the others.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the backstory, and about the thing I think I wondered most about was Jessup. And so that's, you know, some of those characters that clearly have a longer time in the series. You know, that's kept wondering about that guy, because he's talked about a lot, and he's you know, he makes little appearances, but we don't know who he is really. I don't know his background.
Yeah. No. Yeah, and we never really talk about it. See, we could put him in a book with Grandma.
There you go.
You know, and then we could really get into these 2 people.
He might be Grandma's love child.
Yeah.
I don't know the age difference, but it seems about right.
He's not that young either. I think
okay.
For people who really want to get an idea of Jessup, the first book is probably a good place there, because you see him in the field in that book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Oh, let's see. What else? I would love, one thing that we usually ask every visiting author is, what are you reading now?
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of reading. I find that when I read, I'm not in my own book, and I'm always in my own. I mean, one book ends, and I just start another one. And reading is not something. I can watch television, I can go to the movies, and it doesn't stay with me. But once I'm in a book, I can't. My head is in that book. So what I'm reading now is a cookbook.
Well, that's great.
Which one?
Yeah.
I can't cook. I don't cook at all. I defrost, but I don't cook. But I love cookbooks. You know, it's like food porn.
Yeah.
And so that's my guilty pleasure. And I read when I have time. I tend to read more nonfiction, and then I do have a subscription to Uncle Scrooge comic books, and that's
All right.
Love
yeah.
I did not expect that answer.
50 years now I've been reading Uncle Scrooge.
Oh my gosh.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
right.
Gave me my the adventure.
I just finished Blake Bailey's biography of Philip Roth.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
It comes out, it was an advanced copy. It comes out on April 6th, and it's just an astoundingly good biography of Philip Roth, who was one of my favorite writers back when I was in college, when I'm thinking about being a writer myself. So I just finished that book, and I cannot recommend it highly enough.
Do you remember the title? Is it On Philip Roth, or is it?
Yeah, Philip Roth. There it is.
Oh,
It's called Philip Roth.
okay.
Oh yeah. I saw that on.
Because there was one recently, like My Friend Philip Roth, or there wasn't one.
No, this is the authorized biography that Philip Roth actually worked with.
Okay.
Philip Roth, the biography by Blake Bailey. It's a beautiful hardcover book. It's a big book, but
I had no idea you were such a big fan. I love his writing. It's chilling, and Plot Against America is always in my head.
I love that book.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't like the series as much.
No,
didn't do it for me.
Actually,
The book is always better.
If we're going to plug a book, and I, people probably, like, my publisher will kill me for this, but Lisa Scottolini book come out today too.
That's right.
That is outstanding, and
Okay.
She sent it to me in pre-book form, and I started reading it, and I was so taken with this book that I had to tell my husband, take it away and read it, and don't give it back to me until I'm done editing this book. And I can't think of the title of it. You probably have it there.
It's called Eternal, I think, right?
I was gonna say I can't Google. Could you look up
It's Eternal.
If I try to Google it right now, the whole feed will crash.
Yeah, I know. And I don't have it in front of me. I have it in another room.
The title is Eternal.
It's eternal. It's
Okay.
eternal.
And everybody who is participating, if you get our Monday email, if you don't get it already, you can sign up right on our website. You'll get a little box that flashes, and I will list all of the books that Steve and Janet have mentioned. And I'll recap and have a link to all of those books for you guys. So
yeah,
sign up for the Monday email.
Our book first, but then you can buy Lisa's book.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Oh, there it is.
Well, it is. There's this book, but then there's this.
Yes, that's it. Yes, it's just a stunning book.
And we have signed copies.
We do.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Signed copies for all of them. Are you all, and Steve, are you going to get out to Hawaii too? Do you not get to go out there for a book event or anything?
Why not? My father lived in Hawaii for a couple of years, so I've gotten to get out there a couple of times.
Where in Hawaii was he?
Right in downtown Honolulu. It was sort of crazy. And he was actually the last person who should live in Hawaii, actually. But because he's all like type A, get it done right now kind of guy, and that's not really the right mindset for the islands. But but I enjoyed visiting him a lot when he was out there.
That's very cool. Matt had a question earlier that you didn't ask, which I hope I'm not.
No, just
I loved your idea about virtual events, and when you asked Steve, what has it been like for you guys compared to other book tours and other things that you've done,
just
and
promoting
the promotion, and have you liked it better being virtual? What are your thoughts on this time?
I actually hate it.
Do you?
Yeah, it's very impersonal. I like, I spend my life sitting in a room all by myself, in my own world. And once in a while, my husband throws a bag of chips in at me.
What kind?
Then ordinarily once a year, I get to go out and see people and meet the people that are reading my books. And the signings are always amazing because, whole families will come out to see me, multi-generational readers, and we have a great time, and I get to see different parts of the country and see if there are differences in readers and but I'm sitting here in this bubble now, and
Sure.
it's just not the same. It's lacking. I'm not of this generation that, like, I don't go on Facebook, I don't tweet,
Right.
unless I have to very specifically for my own social. But I don't really have time to do that, and that's just not my mindset. So I'm not a fan of this. I want to get back out there with all you guys.
Well, we'd love to have you here.
Yeah.
And Steve, what do you think? Is it not
I
compare?
have to agree with everything Janet said. I mean, I'm not in Petoskey, Michigan right now. I'm on Lake Michigan. I'm here in my room where I spend all my time anyway, just like Janet does. So I'd rather be there.
Yeah, it'd be much more fun to go have a glass of wine together afterwards. Can't do that. Well, that's great to hear, because honestly, I had begun to think authors were going to really be happy to be done with the transfers
The
and
travel.
the travel and the
Okay, the travel I could do without.
Yeah.
That is a real pain in the butt, and like the last book tour that I was on, they don't, people who are planning this don't always, they're looking to see what bookstore wants you when, and they're not thinking about airplanes. And so I was in Tucson, and I had to go to Kansas City, and so then I had to change planes in Denver, and so of course we get to Denver and the plane isn't going.
Right.
And I have a book signing in like 4 hours. And so, and I'm in my sweats, my hair is like not good. And I'm running through Denver airport because they're telling me your plane is at gate 42. And then, no, I get to gate 42 and my plane is at gate 12.
Yeah.
And I'm going back. Denver is big and they've got all these people movers and I'm dragging this suitcase with me. Okay. And so at some point, I'm on one of these people movers and the suitcase wheel gets caught at the end of the people mover and goes over, and Janet goes over the suitcase. And so I'm laying on the people mover. Everything spills out of my tote bag. I now have one with a zipper. It's everywhere. Hairspray. All this stuff. It's everywhere. And I'm laying on this people mover, and it's got a hold of my pants. Okay. It's got like the little teeth at the end of the people mover. Got snagged on my ass, and I'm and there are all these people crowding around me, and I can't move because the damn people mover has my pants, and all they're saying is the same thing. They're all looking down at me, and they're all going, "Oh my God, oh my God!" And eventually, they scooped me up, and they gathered all my stuff together for me. And I went off, and in the meantime, my publicist had managed to get me on a totally different airline. I got to my destination with 15 minutes to spare. Couldn't go to the hotel, couldn't change my clothes, couldn't do anything. Went and did this event in, like a sweatshirt with a hole in my pants, which everybody seemed to be really excited about because at one point I said, it tore a hole in my pants and now my ass is showing, and everybody stood up in their seats to see, So this is book tour. This is the reality of travel on book tour. It's so glamorous, it's just so glamorous.
Right. Isn't travel though just so glamorous to begin with, right? And then
it's just the worst. It's not good at all. Yeah.
Do you usually travel alone like that, or do you usually take your husband with you, or?
No, the husband has to stay with the dog. We don't leave the dog alone.
I don't know what I was thinking.
But I do take someone with me, either a publicist or or somebody, that I know that's, well, like on that particular trip, I was with Ken Wilson. I don't know. Do you know Ken, Steve? Ken Wilson.
Yeah, I think so.
He's a California guy. He's in LA, and he's been with me since book one. He was, what do you call it when an escort? He was
media escort.
The media escort. Yeah, I know Ken.
He started out as my media escort, and then he got to know my business better than I did.
Yeah.
And we hired him on, and he was my webmaster, and he toured with me. And so he was actually on this book tour with me. He was one of the people standing over me going, "Oh my God."
Don't you lose your job though if you let your author get her pants ripped open?
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't his fault. It was just this suitcase, and yeah.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like something that would happen to Stephanie. I was thinking that, and then somebody else said it in the chat, Michael. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Stephanie and I have shared a lot of experiences. She has a lot of my history. I've given her a lot of my embarrassing moments.
Yes.
That's got to be cathartic.
Yeah.
Let it.
Yeah.
Steve, have you ever had any mishaps or gotten stuck anywhere?
I have. I sort of have this famous story, but it takes like an hour to tell, and you have to be drinking something. The next time there, ask me to tell you about the trip I made to Germany.
Okay.
During the World Cup in 2006.
Okay. Very specific.
It's a sort of a famous story that it's the worst book tour ever, and I'll put it up against anybody's book tour. Even people mover grabbing your pants. I would even
well, that's a deal.
Okay.
Hey,
Well,
I can probably come, maybe close, although, I don't know, did you get arrested or something, but I didn't. Did I give something away? No. But I have been on some really bad book tours in the beginning. They're not spending a lot of money on you. I was traveling by myself.
Yeah.
I would go to like 28 cities. I would stay in these hotels that the sheets had cigarette burns in them, and the showers were so dirty. I would take a shower with my socks on. I have been on some bad ones. I have been like sitting in an airport at 3:00 in the morning, waiting to make a connection at 5. It's and not staying a hotel room for 3 days because the publicist wasn't thinking that there were time changes and there were
just keeping you moving, right?
Yes, keeping me moving. Yeah.
Well, that's one more reason to come here, Janet.
Yes.
Right.
They know they can't get you in and out in one day, and so you have to stay the night at one of our historic hotels, and it's lovely.
Right.
And that's the fun part.
Yeah.
That's the good part. And you get to meet booksellers, and you get to, when the events are over and you get a chance to go out. I mean, my problem is that my events usually last so long, because I used to have 2,000 people at an event, and thank God I don't anymore because so much of my sales is digital. But even so, I mean, we would never get out of that bookstore until after midnight. We'd start at 5 and we'd sign until 12, 1 o'clock. And nothing's open then. All the bars are closed. You can't get a drink. You can't get any food. We'd be stopping at gas stations for peanuts and beer.
Yeah. Protein.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we do luncheons. So.
Yeah, so you'd be fine. Yeah.
You'd have the peanuts and beer ready for me.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's been wonderful talking with you both.
Thank you both so much.
And thank you for being one of our only and our very only dual virtual events.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for joining us for this.
It's been great. And if anybody has any questions, they can always reach out. If any customers have any questions, you're welcome to reach out to us on Facebook or email us. That's the best way to get us, books@mcleanandaiken.com. Order your copies, and we'll make sure that you get your signed book plates. And what other information do they need?
I think that covers it all.
If you want ebooks of Janet's books or
Yep.
Steve's books, they're available on Kobo, and you can get those through McLean and Aiken as well.
Yeah, we've got digital audio, digital books, physical audio. We've tried to get all. I don't think you guys have anything on vinyl or records, but we'll get that if you do.
The soundtrack
Yeah.
to the Fox and O'Hare, that'll be coming next. Mhm.
We need music.
Yeah.
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 I think so.
Well, I guess this is the hard part. Usually we would have applause and stuff to wrap it all up to say it's all over with. So we're going to applaud there.
Way to go, guys. Way to go. You made it.
Thank you all so much. And,
Thank you. Thank you
have
so
a
much.
wonderful evening in Honolulu. And Steve, have a great night. Good to see you all.
You got
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.